Let me count the number of times I have attempted to film this Friday Reads. It's a lot. Happy Friday, y'all, and happy day 2 of 12 for Vlogmas for me. I planned on doing a Friday Reads. This is what this is going to be. And like I said, I've tried to film this, I don't know, maybe 4 times. The first time I did it was, I think, yesterday, and I didn't like it. And then I did it again today, and it was just all sorts of technical issues. Like right now, I am trying to film it, and like the sun just decided to come out, and so I had this weird glare on me that like illuminated this part of me, and then this part of me was like in a shadow. So there are just all sorts of technical issues that have been going on with this Friday Reads, and I really don't have like a whole lot to talk about, to be honest, for all of these issues to be taking place. I guess before something else happens, I should probably just dive right on into this Friday Reads. I am going to start off with what I recently finished, and it's nearly the end of the month, and I haven't finished anything for in December yet. So what I will talk to you about is what I finished in November, which I'm actually quite happy with what I read in November. There are quite a few other books that I actually read in November because of Indigathon, and I'm going to talk about those later because they're still in progress for various reasons. And this is why I don't read multiple books at once. This is why I stick to one book at a time, because if I read multiple books, then I just never finish them. So if you didn't know, is that I have been participating in the Octavia E. Butler slow read, which is hosted by Injiri at Onyx Pages, Isis, who has an online bookstore that focuses primarily, I don't want to say focuses primarily, it is dedicated to Black science fiction fantasy writers that are women. And then it is also hosted by Tati from Musical Tati, and I will leave all of that information, all of their links in the description box, so that you can check out their websites and their channels as well. Also, I will leave in the description box the link to the Eventbrite. So if you are interested in participating in the Octavia E. Butler slow read, then you can do that. And here comes the sun again. So yeah, so we are reading Octavia Butler's work in order of publication, and the first book that we read was Kindred, which I had read before, and I also read the graphic novel, which I absolutely loved. The second book is Wild Seed, and it's the first in the Pattern Master series, and the characters Doro and Anyanwu, and I absolutely 100% hated Doro. I cannot tell you of another character in literature that I have despised as much as I despised Doro. And it was oh my gosh, Doro. If I he's one of those characters that if you could jump through the page and just take him out, you would do that. And that's how I felt a lot of the time with Doro. Doro is both Doro and Anyanwu are immortals, and Doro is more of a spirit, and he is able to go from one body to another. And how he does that is he actually kills the new host, so to speak, and then his spirit jumps into their body, and then when he's done with it, he goes and kills someone else, and it's just a vicious cycle. So and Yanwu is a shapeshifter, and she is also a healer. She can change from male to female bodies, and which is really quite interesting. And in this, Butler raises lots and lots of questions about free will. She addresses slavery, race and gender roles, and sexual identity. And there is a lot that goes on in Wild Seed. The next book in this series, the Pattern Master series, is Mind of My Mind, and then Clay's Arc. And I think there's another one, but that particular one is out of print. Butler did not like it, so she had them take it out, had the publisher take it out of print. And it's really quite hard to find. If you do find a copy, it's really quite expensive. So that is one that I obviously I won't be reading for the slow read. I'm not going to get too much into this because I am going to do a full review of it. I want to sit and marinate on it a little more. I have lots and lots of notes that I need to process. So yeah, this review is going to come. The second book that I finished was American Spy by Lauren Wilkinson. I read this for a book club. It's called Lit on H Street, and I will link that also in the description box below. It is a bookstore that usually meets, it's a bookstore. It is a book club that usually meets at Solid State Books in DC. But of course, because of the pandemic, they're not having in-person book clubs. So before I go any further, I just want to do a quick PSA. Right now, local businesses, bookstores, and other businesses need your support. So please, if you can, please support your local bookstores and other local businesses. I know we all like to go to Amazon because we can get things cheap and we can get them fast, but we definitely, and this time, especially at this time, need to support our local owned businesses, because the reality is you support your local businesses, it definitely keeps people working, and that is what needs to happen. That's all I'm going to say about that. So let's go ahead, move on into talking about American Spy. So I co-hosted the book club for this in November. It was at the end of November, and I did enjoy American Spy. It was entertaining and everything, but I will say that it definitely read as a debut novel. There were plot holes that I couldn't get behind, and some of it just kind of, I don't want to say it spoiled the reading for me, but it just didn't do it for me. And I don't mind inferring in things, but there were some things that I felt I had to infer a little bit too much. And here we go, like this whole so they always say the sun will come out tomorrow. Yeah, I've been waiting for the sun, y'all, for like 3 days. It has been overcast since Tuesday. It snowed on, what was it, Tuesday night? Wednesday? Yeah, so it has been overcast for like 3 days. And now when I actually can film, then I get this weird, okay, maybe if I lean in a little bit. Yeah, how about that? So I get this weird sun, and I can't close the curtain because if I do, then it'll be like really dark in here. So anyway, let me get back to this book. So So I did, like I said, it was enjoyable. There were plot holes that I wasn't feeling. But anyway, so it's about a woman named Marie, and it takes place in the 80s, and she's an FBI agent who longs for more challenging assignments. I was going to say dangerous, but more challenging assignments. And she wants to do some intelligence assignments, but she's never chosen for them. One, because she's black. Two, she's a woman. Or maybe because one, she's a woman, and two, she's black. Or maybe because she's a black woman. All of the above. And, the FBI was, especially back then in the 80s, an all white males boy club. So she was just really relegated to vetting informants and, just menial tasks. So one day she's approached by someone at the CIA, and they want her to get close to the president of Burkina Faso, Thomas Sankara. And Sankara also holds some communist ideology. So apparently they are keeping tabs on him and want to know what he's thinking and what he's planning on doing. And they ask Marie to get close to him, to get into his inner circle. So she does, and she finds herself being charmed by Sankara's charisma. And they eventually have a one night stand, and she ends up pregnant with twins. And, she, and I didn't really like that. That's not a trope that I like. The whole one night stand and you end up pregnant and the father is nowhere to be found. The father doesn't know. The father gets killed or whatever the case may be. That is not a trope that I like. But it happened in here. Okay, fine. And so what Marie does is that she's writing a journal to her sons, and I guess it's a just in case something happens to her. I'm assuming. Well, actually, I shouldn't say I'm assuming, because it kind of leads you down that path that you may think that something is going to happen to her. And so she wants to make a record for her sons about her life growing up, how she became an FBI agent, how she was encouraged to do so, and she has a sister, or had a sister, and her father and her mother, and just different things that she's telling her sons in this. So she's writing this journal, which I liked that piece, or how she told the story. And she also brings in a lot of social commentary on race, what it means to be black in the US, being black in the US. And she talks about colorism, being your authentic self, and something that people in the black community know a lot about is good hair versus bad hair, and other things other social issues that she brings up are in here. So I don't want to give too much away, and I think I mean I've told you a good bit about it, but one of the questions we had during the book club was, of course, would you read any more of Lauren Wilkinson's work? And I definitely would. I think this was a good foundation piece for her. I do believe that if she writes another book and she builds on her skills here, that she has the potential to be a really good writer and for really good things to happen. So yes, I would definitely recommend. I would definitely read more, and yes, I would definitely recommend American Spy. The last book I finished in November was Indian No More by Charlene Willing McManus, and I read that for Indigathon to satisfy the middle grade prompt. And it takes place in 1957 and follows 10-year-old Regina Petit and her family, who are Umpqua. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It was at the very beginning, it set me off, and I had to go and do a little more digging into the Umpqua and just some other things with the US government as far as Indigenous peoples are concerned. Some of the things that I found were disturbing. And so I'm glad that I participated in Indigathon. One of my goals for next year is to read more Indigenous literature. So anyway, there were several things that stood out to me while I was reading this, and I'm not going, because it's a very short book, and I'm not going to get into a whole lot of it because I actually do plan on doing a review of this along with some other Indigenous works that I'm still reading right now. I did not know this, that, and if there, I mean, any Indigenous peoples out there that see this, please correct me if I am wrong, but I'm just going according to the book, that there were identification numbers that were given to each Native American, or Indian, as they say in the book, Indigenous person, and or they're called roll numbers. And according to the narrator Regina, that's what made you Indian in the U.S. According to the U.S. government, your roll number. And the U.S. government decided that they were going to terminate them, and not terminate them as in, killing them, but they were terminating their reservation. And Regina's grandmother said that termination means we're the walking dead. And her father, Regina's father, said that it was the government's way of saying that they don't want to be in the Indian business anymore. They had to move off of the reservation because the government was taking that land back. Yeah. So the book follows the Pettit family and their move from the reservation to California, and the stereotypes that they encounter, and the racism that they encounter. And her father just believes that if he works really hard, that he and his family will be accepted into white society, and that everything will be okay. But in reality, it's not okay. And it talks about that dynamic for a middle grade. Big Manus comes out of the gate really strong. And she finishes strong as well. Those are the books that I finished, even though it's been 3 weeks. And so now let's move on to the books that I am reading and the books that I will be reading. What I am reading, and I'm not going to get into these because I've already talked about them, so I'm just going to tell you what I am reading right now. And the first book that I have is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. And I am doing, like I said in another video, I'm doing a buddy read with Ashley at the Bookish Realm. And I am excited. I'm excited to get back into this to see if I feel the same way or how my feelings have changed. And the next book that I have just started is Petals of Blood by Ngugi wa Thiong'o. And I have only just started this book. What I have read thus far of it, I am enjoying. What I have that is coming up next, just got it from Libby, and so I will be listening to that starting next week, and that is The Good Luck Girls by Charlotte Nicole Davis. And it's a YA, and I'm excited to read that. I will put the cover somewhere up here, and I love the cover. I got the book as an ARC, and I got it because I loved the cover. I didn't know anything about it, but I knew that I loved the cover. So the next and the last book that I have is Song of Solomon by Toni Morrison. I have read other Toni Morrison before, and I want to end the year with Toni Morrison. I haven't read anything by her this year, so I want to definitely make sure that I read this, and I'm looking forward to it. So that is my Friday reads. I know you all have seen those books quite a lot lately, and my apologies. But I wanted to make sure that I did do this Friday reads because it was planned for my 12 days of Vlogmas, and I thought perhaps I would have finished something else in order to give a more of a variety of books, but unfortunately I have not. But you did have an opportunity to see some things that I hadn't mentioned before, so there's that. So if you guys like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, hit the bell to be notified of new content, and if you feel so inclined to subscribe, please do. If you made it to the end of the video, put a monocle in the comment section if you don't have anything that you want to say, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.